welcome back to our podcast that we've kind of been slacking
Welcome
on.
back to our podcast.
Yay.
I've missed all of you, and I'm sure you've all missed me. Now let's go in the back dumpster and have some fun.
We've missed you like a bad rashy house.
Well, I mean, you haven't missed me. All of our one fans have missed me.
Well, that's true.
That's how I
Cool.
know I will be able to satisfy them behind the dumpster, because there's only one.
And they're probably
If
not
that
picky
many.
about size either. Heyo.
Don't make me drive to Indiana.
All right. So we've got me as always. Rick is here.
Craig is here.
Guess we're the only two.
We
guess
always
so.
fucking do this. It's always like me and the other person interrupt each other, so I was waiting.
I was waiting too,
All right, well, E-House is here, as always.
and Rich is here.
Okay, so everybody's here. Good. So first on our list of topics, Battlefield, specifically DICE, has announced that there's going to be new premium content in the future, but they haven't specified anything. They've just said it's probably going to be maps or something. My concern with that is that they're going to charge for a new form of premium called Premium Plus. I don't want that to happen, and if that happens, I'm not buying it. That's stupid.
I can see them doing that. My hope is that they realize that
They
it's
don't.
going to drive people away. I also am excited for it because the last couple Battlefield games that I've played, they've done the premium where you get 4 map packs and then they've stopped and then the next game comes out. This
Yeah.
coming out means more content, which I'm always a fan of, and I was happy to see that they're bringing back older maps because I was thinking the other day before I saw that, man, I really miss playing on this map, or I miss this Battlefield 3 map, and so seeing this, I was like, oh, that's cool. They're actually gonna do that. So apparently, more than just myself has had that thought.
What they need to add more than anything else is the goddamn dinosaurs.
Yes, right. I would absolutely pay to ride a T-Rex into battle.
I would pay $100 for a game where you ride a T-Rex into battle. I'm not even talking about DLC. I'm talking standalone game where all it is you and everyone else rides T-Rexes. That would be fucking
You ride
amazing.
T-Rex into battle and shoot people off of it. That would
Dude,
In Dino
incredible.
D-Day, you can play as Velociraptors.
no,
Yes.
it's
Against
not the
Nazis.
same. It's not the fucking same. You're not riding a T-Rex.
Mechanical
Whatever.
T-Rex DLC for Battlefield 2143.
I'd play it.
I would pay.
I'd resurrect that game to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing about the new content, though, is that there's not a whole hell of a lot to say about it because there's no details about it.
Well, here's my
Dice
here's my
literally
question about it though is
Huh.
I'm wondering if the reason they're making this new content is because they had to push back their DLC schedule in the first place, if you recall correctly, because the game was so broken at launch that they delayed their DLC schedule. I'm wondering.
I'm gonna say no to that just because
Yeah.
Hardline is on the horizon and Hardline got
comes
pushed
out in
back
2
really
months.
far.
It comes
But
out in February.
But Hardline
Hardline
got
did?
delayed. No,
Yeah.
Hardline got delayed initially because people were thinking, "Wow, it's kind of bullshit that they're releasing another Battlefield game." Or I mean, at least that's the reason everyone thinks is the reason. But I'm also wondering with this new content if it's trying to be a show of good faith, basically. Like, listen, this game had a lot of problems, so here's some free content. It will, if it's free for premium users. I mean, if it's not free for premium users, then that's some fucking bullshit, and they will lose way more fans than they gain.
Yeah, like I'm already not buying Hardline, but if they decide to make this a Premium Plus thing, I'm probably just not buying another Battlefield.
I won't buy Hardline on release. I will go that far. I liked the Hardline beta. I liked the way it's going, and the single player looks pretty fun. But I will not be buying it on release because I do not want another Battlefield 4. That said, DICE isn't heading this up. It's Visceral, so we'll see how they do. They've done pretty
You
well.
mean visceral?
Shut up. the last couple of DLCs have been alright, so I'm okay with this.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see however they want to take this on in the future. But for now, no one knows. So it's a mystery.
It is a mystery. We will never know, possibly, because if it's Premium Plus, we won't fucking buy it.
Yeah. I'm so afraid that they're going to do that. And it's like, I want Battlefield to get better as a franchise, but if they do Premium Plus, they have shot themselves in the foot.
Here's the problem. As long as EA is in charge of it, it will never get better as a franchise. All we can hope is that it doesn't get worse.
That's why I think Premium Plus might happen. It's a very EA thing to do.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna come right out and say it, though. What kind of position is EA in where people are seriously thinking about Premium Plus stuff, not even considering the possibility that this might be free content? Because the fact is, EA has such a bad reputation with that. EA has no consumer trust.
Yeah, everyone knows that EA is a super shitty company. Like, we're basically held hostage to buying from EA because they own so many IPs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the same thing. Like, if you really liked Legend of Zelda, but you didn't like Nintendo, well, you have to pay Nintendo money to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you are.
True.
Which
we could use to segue into another topic, actually, because the Pirate Bay is down.
You're right. The Pirate Bay is
forever.
Down.
For right now, I would say. I don't think it'll be gone for good. There's no way it's gone for good. But
let me put it this way.
They've gotten raided before.
Even if the Pirate Bay is down for good, piracy websites are like the Hydra. For every one you cut down, 2 more rise to its place.
Hail Hydra.
Oh, yeah,
Not that kind of Hydra, but yes, good reference.
No, it's exactly that kind of Hydra.
If I can't find what I need on the Pirate Bay, assuming I torrented things, then I would find them on Kick-Ass Torrents, because that's another big one. It's like there's
how do
an
you
alternative
know
for it? So, I've just looked around. I've never actually downloaded it.
Well, word gets around, off a coffee office cooler. In all seriousness, I don't.
The coffee cooler. That's where I hear my rumors.
Yeah. Coffee cooler. That's definitely where I hear my. I just realized I said that. But in all seriousness, I actually don't torrent stuff because I'm super paranoid about it. Because at one point, I did torrent, of all things, Art of the Tactical Carbine, and I got a fucking virus from it. Like, of all the fucking things to torrent to have a virus attached to, really?
I've got letters from torrenting Game of Thrones a couple times.
I have too, from Comcast.
I have never gotten a virus from anything I have torrented until I start clicking on Rich and Mem's torrent links.
Yeah.
Every single time.
They work for us. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Mem's always like, it works for me, eh? You must be fucking wrong.
Goddamn Canuck. But I don't torrent things mainly because I will go to YouTube and listen. Like, because for music, if I don't want to buy a CD, it's on YouTube. And I will just get on my smartphone and put YouTube on and just press play and let it play through my car speakers from YouTube. And that works equally as well without the bullshit of me getting letters from my ISP.
Yeah. And there are, of course, ways to avoid that. But, if you don't know the ways, then it's not really worth the risk of just, like, because I think it's 4 CDAs that you have to get from your ISP before they can legally shut down your service and report you to the FBI. I have like 3, so I have to be very careful.
I have none, so I guess I could be a careless bastard, but I don't really care to. And the other thing too is because most of what I buy in terms of games is usually I buy a lot of my games on sale, or I buy a lot of my games so steeply discounted that it's not even worth my effort to torrent it for the money I would save.
I will say I have never torrented a game before. Actually, I take that back. I torrented that Star Trek game, which was an absolutely brilliant decision on my part.
Well, yeah, why the fuck would you give that game money?
Exactly.
Also, Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, didn't you just get Call of Duty?
I just want to play the single player.
Well, and then the other thing too is
I don't
torrent. I don't torrent music also because of the YouTube thing, and because most of the music I buy, I'm actually interested in giving the fucking musicians money.
Well,
That's what I've been mumbling about in the back while you guys have been talking over me. I was going to say, I pay for games that I really want to support and I trust the company.
Yep.
If it's a shitty game that I think I'm going to play one time and never touch again, and it's from a company I hate, I will probably torrent it.
I didn't get to finish what I was saying before Craig decided he wanted to go on his own.
I'm sorry.
That's because I've been trying to say it for fucking 10 minutes. Go ahead.
Play nice, children.
I know how I feel.
So, before I torrented Advanced Warfare. I've never done that before because I usually, like eHouse, buy them at steeply discounted prices or just pay for it. But I will torrent most movies as I don't watch a lot of things in theater. There are a few things I will go see or I will buy because I know they're going to be good. It's a lot like you with games, Craig, where you want to give them money and you know it's going to be worth the money you pay. There are quite a few movies I'm like, I'm glad I didn't pay for that because it was absolutely terrible. Or there are movies I'm like, okay, I watched it once. Cool.
Yeah, and there are a lot of places where you can buy old movies for really cheap, even if you're going to get them on DVD or if you want to get them on digital download or something.
Yeah.
I have torrented those movies in the past, but over the past few years, since I've seen how cheap they can get, I've just kind of been like, look, if I really want to get Jurassic Park in HD, I'll just go buy it for $5 on a streaming website or something.
And having a paying job now kind of helps alleviate some of that. Beforehand is like, how am I going to watch this? I have no money to buy it.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, let's not make any mistake here. I think the people who torrent the most, and I think most of you guys would agree with me, are probably college students.
Yes.
Because college students are on a steady diet of ramen and whatever's in the trash can.
That being said, though, there is a hefty amount of kids in high school who still do it too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at that point, they don't all have their own computers, and they don't all have a steady internet connection through the dorm.
And they don't all have jobs to buy movies.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too with college dorms. What fascinates me is the torrent I did with Art of the Tactical Carbine. I did through a college internet connection. So how do colleges maintain their fucking internet connection? Because everyone is torrenting through their college connection.
Yeah.
They must have some, for big campuses like that, I bet they have some agreement with the ISP that, they're not responsible for client-based actions on their router or server or whatever. But, yeah.
So, now that we've all admitted to the NSA that we need arrested.
Yeah, because we're all violent offenders.
Yeah.
We need to get our doors booted down and hard drives seized.
They can seize my hard drive. All they'll find is a lot of weird porn. You ever heard of Buttfuck Sluts Go Nuts 9? I believe that was your recommendation.
Damn it! Could not stop giggling all day.
I can't believe you haven't heard that before.
That's a Game Grumps thing, isn't it?
No, it's a South Park thing, I think.
Yeah.
No, Backdoor Sluts 9 was the one.
Oh. Yeah, I don't remember where Buttfuck Sluts Go Nuts came from.
I think, dude, that was Game Grumps, I think.
Huh. That does sound about right.
Probably. So, the controller that drains your blood, called Bloodsport.
3 edgy 5 me.
Mm-hmm. It's an idea by these Canadian gamer programmers, whatever.
That explains everything.
Because in Canada, apparently there is a lack of supply in different types of blood. So when they have a big, natural disaster or something, and they need a lot of blood on hand for transfusions or for just keeping people stable, they just don't have enough in supply. So what this is supposed to do is it's supposed to encourage gamers to go to tournaments where theoretically it's supposed to look like, oh yeah, when you get shot, you bleed a little bit through a little IV in your arm, and that goes into a donation, right? But the way that they've made this work is that they use the rumble pack in the controller to actuate an Arduino that sends an impulse to the pump to pull blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's dumb, because in most games, if you jump, or if you, like in Call of Duty, if you dolphin dive, or if you melee something, you bleed. Or if you shoot your gun, your pack rumbles anyway. And if you shoot your gun, your controller will rumble as well. So any of these things that you do will cause the bleeding effect. And it just looks really silly because of that.
I imagine people just passing out in the middle of a game from the blood loss.
Yeah, it would have to be like a...
That would definitely make Call of Duty
like
more
Call
realistic.
of Duty games on there. I think they're playing games that have minor amounts of rumble in them.
This would be the perfect addition to Arma because my realism and my immersion.
That would be awesome.
It's like
the
the
controller
feedback chairs.
And vest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those things are... Like, I remember hearing someone talking about the kinetic feedback vest and how, like, somebody had modified it so it shocks you in that region instead of just pushes a servo toward you.
Yep.
That must suck ass. But
it's probably horrendously unsafe as well.
Probably. Before we go on, this controller was designed and conceptualized to work with a Battlefield Hardline tournament. So...
So yes, we'll have.
Which will be great. Every time you walk past one of the millions of explosions, you'll lose blood.
Michael Bay.
Yep.
Well, what kills me about this, though, is you guys would have no way of knowing this, but back in high school, I had a joke with my friends that every time there was a car accident, you just saw the Red Cross come with vacuums to get all the blood because they're that desperate. Because the fact of the matter is, blood is in short supply everywhere. It is a serious, problem because, people don't have blood, and blood is kind of necessary for life and life-related things. But
so why should I give you any of mine?
Yeah, I'm a selfish bastard. You don't get my blood. But the thing with it is, I think it's an interesting idea, but you would need some games developed specifically around it, so that you don't lose blood for shit like jumping or running into things or things other than getting shot or whatnot.
Yeah, when we were talking about this the other day, I don't remember if it was Mem who said it or if it was actually Rich, but somebody said this would be a lot better if it was hooked up to PC because they could actually monitor what kind of like interaction your character is having with the environment.
Because
so
PC Master Race.
Yep.
Well, so it's just so when you get shot.
You know what they should do is they should make this work with Surgeon Simulator.
Yes, that would be awesome. Where the more blood your patient loses, the more blood you lose.
Yeah,
or like if you toss
suddenly dead.
Or if you reach your hand into a bin of scalpels, which tends to happen in that game, you lose blood.
Yeah. So basically, you'd be dead inside of 10 minutes.
Would that be considered assisted suicide?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Dr. Kevorkian.
What?
I guess never mind. Apparently, no one pays attention to current events of 20 years ago.
Yeah, apparently.
I've heard the name, and by the topic we have, and by the topic we've got, I've kind of put two and two together.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave that awkward silence immediately after in because that was amazing. So, toy gun buyback. Where is that taking place at?
That is in Cleveland, where that kid got shot with a toy gun. Which, okay,
yeah.
Let's come right out and say, anytime a child gets shot, that sucks. I mean, I don't think we need to.
I absolutely agree. It's terrible that the kid is dead.
Yes.
However, seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think people have put this together for some reason, but cops and guns do not mix. It's been like this for years. I don't know why people can't figure this out and can't teach their kids. It's not difficult to learn. Don't wave a gun in front of the cops. Don't mess with guns in front of the cops. even as airsofters, we're taught if the cops get called on us, we're supposed to either put the gun down or drop it or something, put our hands up, and show the cops that we're not trying to harm
shooting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. If a cop rolls up on my airsoft game, I don't give a shit how expensive my AEG is. My life is worth more.
Exactly.
That's okay. Your E&L can handle the drop.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, that'll handle the drop. I am rough on my guns, though, so I'm pretty confident most of them would handle it. But that is irrelevant because if there's a cop showing up, I do not want to get shot.
Exactly.
I actually have had a couple interactions with the police at airsoft things because, you know, back in my days when we were playing in sketchy areas before I was an educated man, a neighbor called the police because they said we were shooting at her yard, which was false. But the cop showed up. You know, all of us put our guns down, whatever, and the cop was pretty cool.
I've had it happen once. I used to play at this abandoned steel mill a couple hours away from here, and we were allowed to be on there. The owner actually played with us, that kind of thing. We had permission, but somebody could see it through a fence, so they called the cops on us, and the cops came, and it was a lot like what they said it was there, and in Cleveland. They rolled up hot and heavy because cops, when they hear the word gun, they don't mess around.
Yeah, no, they don't fuck around. I was lucky in my case because the neighbor said that, you know, we were shooting BB guns or whatever, but
yeah, and
so that got things a little different.
That said, that brings up another point. The dispatcher was, I don't want to say the root of the entire incident, but you
did not help.
They definitely didn't help, but you need to relay all the information because the guy who called the dispatcher said it's a child and I think the gun is fake. That message did not get relayed to the cops. All that got relayed was there's someone waving a gun around.
Yeah, that's the difference between somebody with a toy in public and somebody like
Yes.
active shooter situation. So.
Yeah.
And that said, those cops did exactly what they were supposed to. They came up like it was an active shooter situation. Yes, they should have seen it was a kid. However, you can't trust that all the time.
They didn't care about whether or not it was a kid. They saw a gun.
They saw the gun and acted. Which, kudos to them.
That's what they're supposed to do. If it was
exactly,
somebody with a real gun, they could have died.
Yeah, they're supposed to do that. It doesn't matter if it's a kid or not. A kid can, as evidenced by the massive amount of school shootings we have, a kid can get a real gun and shoot people. I do not care that it was a kid. I absolutely do not. Sad that he was innocent because it was a BB gun? Yes. Do I care enough that it's a problem and I should be rioting? No. He absolutely should have been taught better. And
yeah. I mean, it was a very... Yeah, and it was it was not a good situation all around. I mean, between the dispatcher not relaying the toy gun part, between the kid shouldn't have had the toy gun out in public to begin with,
and
between stuff like that, you know, it's just it's a bad situation all around. And
did you hear what he was doing before the cops showed up?
No.
He was sitting at the park bench with it out, pointing it around, going bang, bang, to different kids.
Well, yeah, you know,
as kids do, yes.
Yeah, like a toy gun, I guess, but that is the kind of thing that'll get the cops called.
Yes, and I could absolutely see that happening.
What it all kind of boils down to is like a lack of just firearm safety and general education with people. Because what I've noticed that is really, really weird over the past like, I don't know, decade or so is, even though this is, America, we literally have a right in our Constitution that we are allowed to own and carry firearms. People, by and large, are afraid of guns and want nothing to do with them. And so they don't educate their kids about them because they don't know anything about them, and then shit like this happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the issue is
instead of being afraid of the piece of metal that shoots other pieces of metal, maybe you should be afraid of the criminals who are shooting people with these devices.
And that's where I think a lot of things have gone wrong. We started blaming the object and not the person.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, we're starting to venture into political territory here, so maybe we should reel it back, because I can foresee the comment section if there is one.
I agree.
One person saying swag.
Back to the original topic of it, the gun buyback program. This is an absolutely stupid idea. Instead of educating people about the problem and fixing it, let's just hide the problem under the rug.
Yeah, there's no difference between this and the gun buyback that happened in Seattle, and there was a couple more across the country, but I didn't pay attention to those because I don't give a fuck.
Well, if I recall correctly, the CDC quoted, "There is empirical evidence that gun buybacks don't work." And that's for real gun buybacks.
Yeah.
Toy gun buybacks, where the buyback money is actually a comic book published by a sustainability initiative. Are you shitting me? I would rather buy and read used toilet paper than trade in a fucking toy gun for a fucking comic book published by a fucking sustainability initiative.
Now,
at least have
they're
the decency.
They're not aiming for people like Yui House. They're aiming for little kids.
I was gonna say, at least have the decency to give a Marvel or DC comic.
But they're violent.
Yeah, those have guns in them, don't they?
Yeah. What if they give him the Punisher comics? That would be hilarious. I want to contact them because there was like a link where you could contact them to donate toys. I want to donate a crate load of Punisher comics. That would be hilarious.
That would be interesting if, this is totally random, but that would be interesting if the NRA donated like a whole bunch of toy guns to some like charity organization. That'd be funny.
Oh god, that would be hilarious.
Just to see what the reactions would be.
I can see it on CNN now. NRA brainwasher to chillin'.
NRA gives firearms to children in charity drive.
Yeah.
That's CNN reporting right there. So, okay, we've spent enough time on this. Let's go to the next topic. That footage where that kid it's Tax City, right?
I think it was Tax City, yeah.
Or SC Village or something like that. It's one of the major fields in California. It's one of the not paintball fields in California.
Yeah, it's one of the tryhards in Cali.
And basically what happened was this guy was, let's see, he was like in a loft, and he was aiming at a guy who was coming into the building he was in. He shot the guy. The guy didn't call his hit. He was like, "What the hell, guy? Call your hit." The guy comes into the bottom floor of the building, starts coming up the stairs. He gets shot again, and the guy is just like, whatever, and shoots the guy who shot first. The guy who shot first throws a hissy fit, and he's like, "Rev, Rev!" And then as the guy walks away, he's just like, "Call your fucking hits!" And he shoots him in the back of the head like 60 times with this like DSG setup or some shit.
The cheater did, or the...
No, the not cheater,
okay.
I guess.
Yeah, he lost his shit and decided to unload his magazine on the back of this guy's head from nearly
the amount
point blank.
Of face palming I got just from the title, I didn't even watch the movie.
Yeah, wasn't it like Cheater Got Owned or something like that?
Something like that.
And then how not to react, like, so the guy clearly knows that this was fucking stupid, but uploaded it anyway to be a hard ass.
Well, no, what happened was, initially I assume he uploaded it to be like, "Hey, look at how I handled this," and then people were like, "That's not how you handle it." He was like, "Oh no, this was an example of how not to handle it. I realized I did it wrong."
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened if you look at the comments and the edits to it and everything.
Like, and the problem is with that, physical altercations have no place on the airsoft field, in my opinion. And I mean, yeah, you get shot in airsoft as part of the game, but point blank unloading on someone's head because you're angry outside of a gameplay scenario is a physical altercation. And the fact
Yeah.
that there wasn't a serious fist fight amazes me.
Yeah, that's like in Washington, you would probably get sued for assault if you did that to somebody, especially if there was a camera involved.
Hmm.
It's just, it's not something you fucking do. And it's like everybody, like every single airsoft channel that's ever gotten big has always put up like a call your hits PSA thing, talking to cheaters, saying like, oh, you know, don't cheat at the field, you ruin the game for everybody, blah, blah, blah. And then they talk to people who are playing legitimately, and they say, okay, if you see somebody cheat, don't lose your shit and shoot the fuck out of him from an inch away. Remember his face, remember his gun, remember how he's dressed, and tell the ref when the match is over.
I get
Yep,
pissed.
That's what you do.
Personally, I get pissed. I go, the fuck, and start getting really annoyed. That's not the way to handle it, but that's just me. However, I don't light them up with my gun. That's just stupid and asking for problems. And
What
my
bothers
Well, if they're not going to
opinion-
call on the first hit, they're not going to call on the 300th hit.
in my
So.
personal opinion, both of them should be banned.
Yeah, they both should have at least been kicked from the field. That's
Yeah.
what I left in his comments. I was like, this is retarded. You should have both been kicked.
Yeah, in my opinion, if
One,
it was
because-
my field, I would have kicked them both out.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, one, the cheater should have been kicked for cheating. That's obvious. Two, the other guy should have been kicked for not being safe.
Yes.
The way I say that, it's not safe to do that to someone. I don't care if they're not calling their hits. You don't unload a magazine at 60 rounds a second into someone's head. That's come on, man. Use your
Yeah.
brain.
What bothers me almost as much as the incident itself is the people who support it, saying that, hey, good job, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
seriously?
Yeah. Those people are
That's how bad the community in California is. Just
Yeah.
a bunch of dude bro paintballers who found an airsoft gun, more or less.
Well, the problem is, it's not even like a generalization of dude bro paintballers. The problem is the immaturity. And the issue is when people say stuff like that, because airsoft is by its very nature a very type A, aggressive personality type of game. And a lot of people who have that type of personality are, in a lot of cases, very immature and or very aggressive and don't care about stuff like that because they're like, oh, that guy broke the rules. Fuck him. It's like, yeah, but the solution is not to be a fucking asshole.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He started out okay. Yeah, he got pissy. Everybody gets pissy when someone cheats. Cool. Let's get over that.
I'll be straight up.
He
I get
went
pissed
the
at
right
games
direction.
sometimes.
He went the right direction in calling for the ref. However, you don't unload into someone's head. Like even here, we're told not to shoot for the head. Just even at a distance, even with semi-auto, we're told not to shoot for the head because
Yeah,
it's airsoft.
at the,
You don't want to permanently hurt someone playing this game.
At the organized fields that I have been to, there's always been a standing rule where it's like, okay, headshots, they're acceptable, but if you can, avoid them.
Exactly.
Only shoot at the head
Yeah.
if that's the only part exposed.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's been the general understanding for a lot of reasons. I mean, number one, this isn't fucking Call of Duty. You don't get more damage for a headshot. Number two, a head is a smaller target to hit.
Yep.
And number three, it's not as safe to shoot for the head because, you know, your torso is a big, meaty piece of fat, basically, that can take whatever 6mm bullshit you want to throw at it. Whereas your face has a lot of shit like your eyes and your nose and your teeth and your ears and stuff that does not react as well to having hard little BBs pelting off of it.
Exactly.
I mean, granted, usually wear eye and or face protection, but still.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody wears actual, like, mouth protection, and that's why it's kind of important to try not to shoot those people in the face. Like,
Well, I don't wear
I know
lower
people-
face protection.
I don't either.
yeah, I know some people on the field will just, like, there's always those guys who are like, oh, you know, when I see somebody, I don't really take a minute to analyze them. If they're not on my team, I just shoot them. So hardcore, military, blah. But, like, if I'm playing airsoft and I'm coming up on somebody, normally I will see if they have a face guard on or not, and that will pretty much kind of lead to me deciding if I'm going to shoot them in the face if I can or not.
If I can come up on behind someone, I shoot them in the back. Usually shoot them in the ass or the back of the leg just because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
If I'm trading
Like, some people
shots, if I'm trading shots at distance from someone, and all you're giving me is your head, I'm gonna shoot at your head. Mostly, I'm gonna shoot at your gun to maybe make you your change your angle or something so I can get a better shot on you. But if you're only gonna give me your head, which I tend to give to people a lot, I know how to use cover and I know how to not show my entire body. So
Do you tend to give head a lot?
you
Oh,
know
low hanging fruit. You get no
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, I set myself up for that one.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you're gonna get shot in the head. That is an acceptable reality. I mean, headshots are not the issue because usually most headshots I find are fine. I mean, it's just a matter of intentional, excessive headshots at close range is bullshit.
Even lighting that guy up in the leg excessively like that, I think
Yes.
excessive is the problem.
Well, and
Well, that's the
unnecessary.
thing, it's unnecessary, yeah.
Excessive, yes.
And I think the big issue with it is, and I mean, I'll be the first person to admit, I sometimes get pissed at airsoft games. Like, you'll hear me yell sometimes. I'll get intense, and sometimes I'll yell. But here's the thing: one, I try not to, and I usually don't. I'd say maybe once every 10 games you hear me yell. But the other thing is, you never, ever, 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 ever get physical.
Yes.
Because
Correct.
not only is that unsafe, it's fucking illegal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is assault.
Yeah,
And
you
it
can
doesn't
go to
matter.
jail. You can be sued.
Yeah.
Yep, it's not good times, and that's like my whole real problem with that video. It's just he overreacted so much, and he took it from basically just an innocent game of airsoft to like you're throwing a hissy fit and physically taking it out on another person.
Yes.
Yep,
That's just
I
what are
have
you doing?
seen people turn around and slug people before, and I just
Yeah,
look at it, just like,
dude, if I was that guy
seriously?
on the stairs, I probably would have done that.
I gotta
Like,
be
no
honest
lie.
too.
That-
I don't
that, but
get
it's
that
also,
upset
like-
about cheating anymore.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: most of the fields I play at are longer range, and when you're at long range, let's face it, lightweight round projectiles fly for shit.
Yep.
They weren't that far away from each other. He knew.
No,
he
in
didn't
that
care.
case, I'm just saying in that case. But I'm saying like a lot of people at the fields I play at get really pissed and are like, "Oh, these guys are cheating. They're not calling their hits, yada yada yada."
Oh yeah.
And a lot of times, like when I'm walking around, taking pictures, because I'll grab a camera from the local field admins and take pictures sometimes, or if I'm walking around reffing because my gun's down, or one time I think I hurt my ankle and I didn't want to run anymore. So, but when I'm walking around, I see very little cheating. It's just that people get really butthurt because they think their guns have this magical range and accuracy that they don't.
Airsofters are notorious for not understanding how far a range is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
it's part of the like ego trip of I upgraded my gun, I can shoot that far, when in reality you can't because you suck.
Yeah.
So this brings up an issue that I have as an event organizer frequently is how to deal with hit calling issues, because like you said, people think they're getting hits on people, but they don't know the range of their weapons. They don't realize that their BBs are hitting shrubbery and not actually making it to the target. How do you deal with people who say other people aren't calling their hits?
I tell them, move closer. That's basically the gist of what I tell them. If you don't think they're calling your hits, move closer so you can get an actual view of it, and then let a ref know, and they'll check them out. But don't sit 150 out and say he's not calling his hits. You don't know you're hitting him. You can't see the BB hit the person at that range.
Mhm.
Even with a scope on, you can't see that.
Yeah, the way that I've heard it handled in the past is like pretty much if you're gonna be reporting that somebody is cheating to a ref, there needs to be like a couple refs for this to work.
Yeah.
But basically, if a ref hears like 2 reports of cheating about the same person, they'll have somebody kind of closely watch that person to see if they are cheating.
Oh,
and
we
if
don't
they
even
witness
do.
it,
We
then
don't
they'll
even
kick
do
them from the
that.
field.
We just go to spot check them. We'll come. A ref will come
Explain
up.
that.
A ref will come up behind them and shoot them in the back.
Yeah,
If they call it,
that can work too.
cool. If not, you're gonna get flagged. Usually either warned if it's your first time or kicked out.
Yeah.
We handle it a little differently at Hunter's Creek. So if we get a bunch of reports that somebody is cheating, usually those reports come because that person is sitting in a bad spot, and because people will get into a spot at Hunter's Creek and they'll not want to move. So if we get a bunch of reports that somebody is cheating and they're causing problems, we will call in an airstrike on that area, and we have an invincible NPC with an LMG just hip fire all over that area. And regardless of whether or not the person calls his hits, they usually don't want to get shot a lot, even if it's at range, hip firing with an LMG, and they will usually leave. So maybe that's a little bit of a less professional, less courteous way to handle it, but let me put it this way. It's a lot of fun for everybody, and we very rarely get complaints about it.
Yeah, and the person getting airstrike probably laughs about it when it's done because they're like, "Holy shit, I didn't expect that."
Yeah, exactly, and it's used sparingly. I mean, I think we've done it like 3 times. Because if someone reports someone's cheating, yeah, we'll watch them a little closely, and if they're like, "Oh, this guy's not calling his hits," like, man, we've had a ref watching this guy. He's been calling his hits, and we'll remind him. We'll be like, "Listen, these things don't fly straight. Hunter's Creek has a lot of shrubbery. We've been watching this guy. We're doing what we can." And then if we get a lot of complaints, we'll bring out the LMG, and no one gives a shit because it's funny and it's fun. So I don't know. Maybe that's the best way to handle it.
Maybe, I don't know, any way that makes everybody kind of happy when they leave the field is obviously the best kind of way. Maybe one that convinces a cheater that they don't need to cheat to have fun. But sometimes that just can't happen because there are douchebags.
There are douchebags, and we've been lucky that we've had success, with the methods we employ, and I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah. So, Rick and eHouse, talk about your XDMs.
Fucking good.
My XDM that I had for all of 3 days. I literally had it for 3 days and sold it immediately.
Really? You sold your
cool.
Wii XDM in 3 days?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it was cool. I mean, I've always liked the XD. I've had some trigger time with the real one, and I do enjoy shooting it, and I enjoy the ergos of it and all that stuff. So I mean, it was cool and all. And the XDM was actually really, really awesome because it had the striker indicator, which I thought was really cool. Whenever I racked it back, it had a little striker indicator that it was actually cocked.
Yeah, it's got a little red flag that comes up on the back of the slide, right?
Well, on the real one, it does. On the WE, it actually had a metal piece that comes out from back there to show that it's actually charged, which that was
cool.
pretty cool. I've never seen anything like that with like a working indicator.
Unless you're talking like an external hammer, but that's cheating.
Well, yeah, that's not the same.
Yeah.
That also doesn't tell you if there's a round in the chamber.
Yeah.
The Tokyo Marui has the same thing. The chamber indicator doesn't work because it's always in the up position. And I think the Wii has the same thing going on with that. But the Tokyo Marui also has a striker indicator. And the TM I got is, plastic, obviously, as TMs are. But it feels really solid. And, when you have the magazine in there, I've shot a real XDM 45, and I really want one, when I get my handgun permit. But I've shot a real XDM 45 when I was out at Front Sight in Las Vegas, and I really liked it. And that was part of what drove me to be like, the XDM might be something I get for airsoft someday, and I finally did. And I haven't skirmished it yet, but I'm looking forward to doing so. I really enjoy the details it has.
So how do you like having a Tokyo Marui over your KWAs? What's it like to finally join the cool kid club?
Have you ever had that feeling? Like when you just
Does
offloaded a
does
really
that
heavy
feeling
backpack full of failing guns
does that
and then picked
feeling
up one gun that worked?
does that feeling remind you of a certain person's orgasm face?
Which person? Rich
God
or
damn it.
me?
Yes.
Me? My angry
Rich.
orgasm face, or I don't know.
Riches.
Fucking yes.
Does offloading those guns remind you of your own orgasm?
Dude, have you never made direct eye contact with yourself while orgasming?
You mean to see your own vinegar strokes?
Yes. And all you can do is make the most intense eye contact possible, bore in on your pupils, and realize that in your moment of ecstasy, you are more connected to yourself than anyone ever will be.
Yeah.
Yup.
That's basically the correct answer. Yep.
So this has been eHouse's review of his Tokyo Marui XDM.
Yes, it is awesome, and I can't wait to skirmish it. I'll be skirmishing it this weekend at a River City Winter game, and it's going to be fucking amazing.
Until, because it's winter, it goes...
I know, but for all two
Clank,
shots, it'll
clank,
be
clank,
great.
clank.
Yeah.
It will be amazing
And
for 2
WEs
shots.
make that really signature, like,
Yeah.
sound when they run out of gas, too. It's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like
So-
someone puffing on a dead blunt.
Kind of. Not really at all, actually.
Shut up.
So, do you guys have any bitches about your XDMs, or
My
anything that's
bitch
super
is that
awesome
the
about them?
plastic is soft enough on the slide that taking it in and out of a Blade Tech holster is marring the actual plastic.
Yeah.
Welcome to plastic.
I know, but it's not a huge issue because I am probably going to beat the shit out of this gun to a certain extent. And if it gets to be a big problem, I'll just replace it with a metal slide. But I'm just saying.
The only Tokyo Marui gun I have owned out of my way too many Marui handguns, the only one I've ever owned that I actually felt like scared to shoot that it would shatter itself was the M9. My 5.7, I didn't care. It didn't feel like it was gonna blow itself up on propane. My my SIGs, my Glocks, nothing else. That M9, it had such a substantial crack to it when it shot. I thought it was going to shoot the front end of the gun off.
Like a real M9.
Yeah.
Heyo! I've heard the M9 rollout compared to the Obamacare of handguns.
Yeah. The first M9 was not that great, but the new M9A1, they supposedly fixed all the issues. So
Yeah.
it actually would be a pretty good one to pick up if you like an M9.
I remember when
Who
I
the
went
fuck
and
likes
bought
an
my...
M9?
I remember when I
People that
went
want
and
to
bought
run
my...
stuff that they run for like service and stuff like that. Because I know
Fair
military guys,
enough.
veterans who run it, since they carry them.
And I know equally as many veterans who would never, ever touch a Beretta ever again.
Yes, I know, but most of them are like, I want to train with the same gun I have when I carry my stuff and in combat. So,
Fair
like
enough.
it or if whether or not they like it or not is a different story.
Continue, Craig.
Okay. So I remember when I went and bought my Smith & Wesson M&P from Cabela's, there was, I was talking to the clerk about it, and we were like, oh, yeah, it's better than the 40, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And there was an M9, M92 FS, like the crappy military one. Like somebody had somehow gotten a military issue one and sold it to this Cabela's. It was in the display case, and I was like, can I see that M9? And he just looked at me and was like, because we had just been talking about the
Really?
the M&P, he just goes, really? I was like, I just want to look at it. I don't want to buy it. And he's like, I know. And so he grabs it from the case and hands it to me. They are such pieces of garbage, man. They feel like the HFC.
I know.
That's what the real one feels
I have a
like.
buddy. I went with him to one of the biggest shows, the biggest gun shows in Indiana, and we went there for two reasons. One, his dad wanted to find an M9 because this was right before my buddy went into ROTC in basic. Um, he wanted to find an M9 so he could practice to qualify with it.
Mhm.
And my buddy wanted to find an EOTech. So we went there, and his dad picked up a military Beretta 92 FS. Looked almost new for $350. You can't even buy them for under $5 right now with the prices they are.
Yeah.
But I finally got to shoot it. I'm like, it. You're exactly correct. It feels like the Pop Metal HFC M9s. It's not something that you like.
Yeah, it just feels like a piece of garbage. I don't understand how that got into military circulation as a firearm. I mean, normally military standards aren't super high, but they do kind of require their things to work in combat zones.
Other than price, I don't see why, like, most people don't carry SIGs as standard issue.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they didn't just make 9mm 1911 the standard if they really wanted to switch to 9mm.
And now they're talking about switching to 45 again.
Yeah, because fucking 9 sucks for combat.
Yeah, it does.
Well, the problem is when you're limited to ball ammo, you're the effectiveness of 9mm is pretty limited. I mean, with modern defensive ammo, no problem. But when you're following the Geneva Convention,
and you can't use hollow points. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's like 9mm, it's fine if you conceal carry it as a civilian, or if you, to an extent, use it for home defense.
With modern defensive ammo.
Honestly, in this day and age, some of the Geneva Convention, in my opinion, should be ruled out. With terrorism,
I think the fact that there is rules about how you can fight a war to kill other people and wipe out other nations is ridiculous.
Well, it's
like, why do you care?
People aren't going, like, these people, they use children and women to kill soldiers. Like, they don't have rules. Why do we need to follow rules?
Yeah, and I can see how some people from some standpoint might be like, oh, it's because we're America and they're terrorists, we're supposed to have higher standards, but
it's war.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. The Geneva Convention does not prevent us from using Apaches, and thus we still win.
Until an RPG.
The Navy just tested its first laser system on the USS Ponce. Do you see that?
I did. That shit was awesome. I want a fucking laser.
Now, railguns.
Here's the thing.
Guns were
I
already
can't wait until laser guns become available to civilians because everyone will stop freaking out about the AR-15.
No,
everyone will stop freaking out about caliber in general.
Yeah.
And they'll start freaking about frequency and intensity and...
Yeah. What's the better battery charge?
355 kilowatts causes septic shock after 5 minutes of impact. It's clearly the better fucking laser type.
Yep.
Oh, God.
With each evolution, the argument will change.
Mm-hmm. My knife's better because it's longer. Well, my knife's smaller and I can use it as a tool. It's like, well, fuck your knife. It's smaller.
Sounds like the argument you have about your penis.
I was just gonna say penis joke.
Yeah, it's like mine's way bigger, but you guys are just like, oh, if you have something small, you could... It's like, no, bigger's better, bitches.
Size doesn't matter. It's the motion of the ocean.
It's not what your mom said.
Listen, all else fails, I have a big fist.
Which, as long as you're not in the UK, is okay.
Wait, what?
As long as you're not filming porn.
I don't even fucking remember. Oh, yeah. God. We started with the XDM. Then we started talking about the M9. Then we started talking about ball ammo. Then we started talking about the Geneva Convention. Then we started talking about laser guns. Then we started talking about fisting.
Yeah, in Britain, it is illegal. They've outlawed a bunch of pornography, anything to do with bodily fluids, and
Called
No,
water
They
sports.
No,
they
anything
outlawed
bodily
the
fluid.
pornography. They did not outlaw the act.
well,
Yeah, that's what we're saying. It's
That's
only
what
in
I'm
porn.
bodily fluids, fisting, insertion of power tools.
That's a
Insertion
thing.
of power tools.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's a thing.
Rule 34,
There
bro.
is-
That's
There's
true.
an actual list here I'm trying to pull up. Oh,
God.
It's going very slow.
Craig's
Is this a
history
fucking
now
porno
has
cast
illegal
now? Is that what this has
pornographies in
become?
Britain on it.
I just want to talk about it really. Okay, I actually have the full list right here. Okay. Spanking, canning, don't know what canning is, aggressive whipping, penetration by any object associated with violence, physical or verbal abuse, regardless of if consensual, urolagnia, known as water sports, so that's P, role playing as non-adults, physical restraint, humiliation, female ejaculation, strangulation, face sitting, and fisting.
Yeah.
That is all the banned sex acts in porn.
So
in the
basically
UK.
anything but missionary.
Basically anything
Basically.
except for actual sex.
Yeah, like anything slightly out of the norm is illegal in their porn now.
That's kind of
It's amazing.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely lends a lot of credence to the stereotype that British people are sexually repressed.
Well, it's just like this is the kind of stuff that your government worries about for you once guns are outlawed.
America, land of the free.
America. I love my titties and American guns.
Mm-hmm.
Land of the fist.
Well, now that we've talked about something very explicitly adult in nature, let's talk about fucking Nerf guns!
For all the kiddies in our audience.
Dude, I saw a fucking commercial pop up before I watched a YouTube video today for a fucking Nerf gun that is semi and fully automatic, takes a 10-round magazine, and has a goddamn grenade launcher.
Yep.
Why were Nerf guns not this sweet when I was growing up? This
Dude,
is
I have
bullshit.
Nerf guns from up until about a year ago because I used to actually be involved with a youth group and we would help out younger kids. So we'd have Nerf wars. So I have actually like decent modern Nerf guns because they are awesome.
Dude, Nerf guns are fucking sweet now.
Yeah.
And it even takes a 10-round magazine. It's fucking New York legal.
Training them correctly.
I haven't owned a Nerf gun in like 8 years.
You're missing out.
I
I've
bought a
never
couple
owned a Nerf
cheap ass Nerf guns in college because we were doing some zombie thing, but
Yeah.
like they were the revolvers, and the only thing I ever used them for, other than shooting, the fake zombies, was Russian roulette.
I just modded them, and then people are like, how the fuck are your guns shooting so far? Blah, 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 blah. Well, you know.
In youth group. How the fuck are your guns shooting that far, motherfucker? Praise Jesus.
But and okay, here's an interesting question for you guys. Okay, obviously Nerf is making money if they're making shit like this, right?
Yeah.
So Nerf making money on these type of guns means there's a market for them, and Nerf is getting kind of large, actually. Like, I know Buffalo Battleground will rent out for Nerf wars.
Really?
So,
Huh.
here's a question for you. Is Nerf a gateway drug to airsoft?
Yes.
Nerf, then laser tag, then airsoft.
Awesome. Because even though it's going to be kids coming up, I have nothing against children as long as they, can actually play the fucking game without being stupid. So we're going to have
Indoor
more
Nerf
players
gets
coming into
banned.
the game.
Nerf guns get banned.
Hey, question
What?
related to this. So, if a lot of parents' beefs with airsoft is the thing about violence and promoting violence, why is Nerf okay but airsoft is not?
Because
Because
Nerf
it's-
guns don't look like
Because
guns.
it's
No,
not a gun,
but-
bro.
But that has nothing to do with their point of promoting violence.
Listen,
Yeah,
don't question
I know.
it too
It's
hard.
because they don't look like guns. It's a weak ass standpoint.
You're expecting logic out of illogical things. Stop it.
Yeah,
Just-
you can
just
shut the
accept
fuck
it.
up with that bullshit.
Just accept
Yeah,
it.
motherfucker.
All right, go straight, take a left, and then take a right, and you'll be out my face with that bullshit.
What?
I don't even know.
Okay.
Well then.
So,
Yeah, how about AKs now? We've talked about Nerf.
yeah,
We got
both your
new
guys'
AKs
AKs.
going.
Woot woot.
Mine
Now,
is in
Rich, you have
pieces.
actually. What? Why is yours in pieces?
I'm waiting for the tappet plate to arrive tomorrow.
Didn't you skirmish your AK though?
Yeah, I used it once. It was pretty sweet.
Talk about it.
Hop up, dialed in perfectly, no complaints. It feels pretty similar to my my GNP in terms of size and weight distribution, so it was like easy to maneuver and work with.
So it was extremely heavy. Got it.
Not as
Much.
heavy as your mom.
Hey,
Yo.
Well, I mean,
Or
unless
mine's
his mom
big.
weighs 8 pounds, kind of, yeah.
anyway,
but
I'm not a fan of G&P guns because they are extremely heavy for what they are because they're a lot of pot metal. I would much rather use like a VFC or whatever.
Well, GMP's pot metal is mostly in the gearbox. I mean, externally, it's pretty solid.
Their receivers are
Dude.
pot metal.
Yeah.
Are
the
they? I
receivers
thought they were.
pot
I was
metal.
under the
Yeah.
impression they were aluminum.
No, they're not.
They're not.
At all.
I have extensive experience with GMP receivers. They are not aluminum.
Ah. Well, then I guess I'll stick with my Crytek. But internally, I think GMP is one of the best gearboxes on the market. Because I've had...
Debatable.
A stock gearbox, maybe yes.
That's what I'm talking about. A stock gearbox.
Manufactured gearbox. I would argue it's in probably the top 10.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good gearbox.
Yeah, it's not a bad one, for sure.
Yeah, I'm weird with that. I think G&G's Pro Line gearboxes are good, and apparently that's like a bad thing to say nowadays.
Dude, I still
so.
think combat machines are the best gun for the money, but apparently, you can't say that anymore.
Have you been on like a big airsoft forum in the past year or two?
Yes, and everyone's talking shit about combat machines. I'm like, what the fuck happened? They didn't
Combat
change.
machines
G&G
are
went to
great.
shit.
I don't know why people hate them so much.
mine had
If
a
you have
wiring issue.
$150, like you're gonna fuck up if you buy something other than that at that price.
Unless it's a SEMA AK.
Well, a combat machine can perform better than a semi-AK. Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
No.
It can if you know what you're doing.
Well, I mean, that's
Every
the
airsoft
trick.
gun can perform well if you know what you're doing. That's the trick. If you don't know what you're doing, you should just quit.
This is all irrelevant now because HPA systems are where it's at.
Yes, they're coming back, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to HPA my MG36. That'll be pretty sweet.
Daytonas are built for LMGs. Come on,
Dude,
man.
the thing is, like, I kind of want to send it to Tony Rizzo to get Daytona gunned, but at the same time, I don't know.
Do it.
Come on.
It's cheaper than a Polar Star.
Then you're gonna have to worry about
it's
actual
not-
recoil.
Yeah, but it's not cheaper than a Wolverine. Also, I'm talking.
Recoil, bruh.
Also, I'm not talking about like just buying the system and installing it myself, because apparently it requires modification to the receivers
Yeah.
for the classic army it's built for, and I have a JG, so
Yeah.
I would have to send it in. So it would be the kit plus labor.
Yeah, I know. Apparently the WE Scar L is pretty drop-in, so I shouldn't have any trouble, but I'm still sending it in anyway.
Yeah.
Because, my luck with airsoft guns is
Yeah.
about as good as anything.
I should get my fucking E&L Daytona gun. That would be sweet.
You can't. E&M
Aw.
won't work. LCT is still the best one to use.
Oh shit! I have a fucking LCT body kit. I could send that in.
There you go.
Oh my god, that would be sexy.
Oh, they're DGAK, fucking awesome. Especially the new Gen 4 kit.
Well, I'm not about to spend as much on an airsoft gun as I could a real AK, so...
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I have this dilemma. I can either put money towards a real Glock, or I can buy a E&L.
That's really tough.
That is really
I'd-
tough.
I'd
Depends on
probably
your
go with the
POU, bruh.
Jesus Christ. If you quote nothing fancy again, I'm fucking driving to Washington to kill you.
Glock. Hey, at least it's not me this time.
Oh, you motherfucker. Actually, no, I have a friend who lives out in Washington. I'll send Tyler to kill you.
You contract him out.
Yes. One of my other minions.
Okay, talk about your AKs comparatively.
Well, I own a SEMA OEM'd Rifle Dynamics AK-700 from Echo 1, and I own an E&L AKM.
And you own a G&G/LCT.
AKMS. Yes. And
Just AKMS, yeah, not the AIM.
in my opinion, the E&L is the most solidly built. And my reasoning behind that is that on the LCT kit, the front sight is screwed in, whereas on the E&L it is pinned. On the LCT kit, the handguards wobble a lot. On the E&L kit, lol wobble. On the LCT, the dust cover does not mount as solidly. On the E&L, it, again, lol wobble. The pistol grip is not as solid on the LCT, I feel like, where the E&L is, I feel like it's thicker and it mounts more solidly. So, and the other big advantage that the E&L has is the LCT has a well-noted weakness of a welded charging handle on the mock bolt that loves to pop off like mine did. And the E&L has a one-piece, I believe it's cast charging handle, which is, or not cast, but it's steel, so I don't know if it's cast or whatever it is. But it's
Probably just milled.
yeah, probably milled. So it's a one-piece milled charging handle attached to the mock bolt, so it won't pop off. So in my opinion, based on that criteria, I think E&Ls are more solidly built externally than LCTs.
You
It's
also
almost like
have
they're
a
built by
very
a real
old
firearms
model.
company.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a second. You also have a very old model LCT.
And that's why
They
I'm
have
saying based
updated
on
quite
that.
a bit.
Yeah, based on that, I think the E&L is more solidly built. I haven't had a newer LCT, so it could easily be different. You're not playing devil's advocate. You're saying
I will
what
say-
you experienced might not necessarily be reflective of the whole, and I think that should be assumed.
Yeah. I will say the bolt. I can't talk. The bolt issue is still a thing. I'm not sure why they haven't decided to fix that yet. But they haven't. But I do know a lot of the other concerns have been adjusted.
I also know LCT's gearbox from LCT, not the G&G gearbox mine came with. I know LCT's gearbox is pretty fucking sexy. The E&L, from what I've seen, is not as sexy as the LCT. So internally, I wouldn't say it has a huge advantage over the SEMA in terms of the parts and the build quality. But it's very consistent. Chronoing mine, it comes in consistently at 353 to 358 with 2 5s, which is pretty damn good for a stock gun, in my opinion, coming out of China. Excuse me. Then I also updated it because it had double tooth type bucking, which I fucking hate. I hate the split type buckings. Mm-hmm. So I put in a Mad Bull blue bucking because that was what I had. I usually prefer G&G green. And an H-nub and a Prometheus barrel. So I'm going to skirmish that on Saturday and see how that does. But again, chrono results are very promising.
That setup should be pretty good for you.
Yeah. I bastardized mine a little bit. I put a SEMA replica Ultimac rail on the front, and it required a little dremeling on the rear so that the lever would clear, but then, obviously that fixed it up and it mounts real solid. I've got my Bushnell on there. And then I stripped the varnish off the wood because one of the big issues I had with the E&L is the varnish that came out fucking sucked. But the varnish was very thin. It was very flaky. It was coming off really easily. So I stripped that, restained it, and as that gets beat up, I'll just let it look beat up because I'm going to beat the shit out of this gun. And then
As you do.
Yeah, and then I put a 7.62 primary weapons system Mad Bull replica muzzle brake on the front because I'm kind of going for an Americanized PMC AKM here, and I think it looks pretty sweet.
Cool. Sounds pretty. That actually sounds pretty cool.
Yep.
So, Rich, you there still?
Yes.
Okay. You should talk about your hybrid project that I may be involved in the future.
More or less.
It's very hopeless at this point until you get your garage cleaned up, you bum.
Yeah. Blame my dad.
Well, I'll write him a letter.
Okay.
Yeah, so nothing with the RPK and the normal AK is swappable because the entire RPK front end is thicker and wider and fatter in all aspects. I cracked my handguard trying to put it on there.
Sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. There's so many different ones. I don't understand why people can't have a standardized setup for this.
Well, especially
Because-
since they're both Simas.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
what the
didn't
fuck?
Mem say I got some kind of weird hybrid?
Yeah, there's TM style, there's VFC style, and then there's a fucking hybrid of them. Like, seriously, pick one.
Yeah.
There's a few models that are a hybrid. I think.
Pick one, and by one I mean the VFC.
Yes, the real style takedown. It drives me
And-
nuts.
I was-
Airsoft, right?
Yeah.
And same way with like all the M4s. ICS is different, G&P is different, VFC is different, TM is different. It's like, seriously?
Rich, continue.
Because I can't do this conversion project, I'm going to drop the SMP into my AK. But come Broken Home 4, I was going to drop the SMP into the RPK and run as a support gunner for my squad. But I just realized that because the bolt in the RPK is so huge, there's no space in the dust cover for a battery, so I don't know how I'm going to do that.
That's
Well,
right,
could
the
you run it in
RPK is the
stock?
full replica bolt.
Could you run it
What?
to stock?
Oh, yeah.
I have to look into that. I don't know how
The
the
SMP only requires like a tiny battery.
Yeah,
doesn't
the
it?
the stock can hold like a 2200 milliamp LiPo, so I'm pretty sure you'll be able to do that.
I should hope it could hold a 2200. That's tiny.
Well, it's an RPK stock. It's not a fucking, full AK stock with the cavernous opening like Agnes's vagina.
RPK stocks are larger than AK stocks.
Yeah, but it's weird. Cyma did not put a ton of space into it.
Yeah,
No, it is
Diamond
really
doesn't
weird.
do that for their AKs either. Their AKs barely have room for a mini or a large type.
Yeah.
With the wood, you got to be really careful because if you make it too thin, it can crack. ABS is it's pretty much designed to be resilient at really thin.
That's why E&L decided to not give a fuck and just had it be set up for stick type regardless of stock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which isn't bad because I've
which
got
is good.
Yeah. I've got a Firefox 7.4 1200 that I'm running in it, and that's it's pretty good.
Yeah, I really like G&G's bolts though.
Yeah.
They're like the full size bolts, so I would be kind of disappointed by that. But
Well, my problem is none of them compare to the real Bolt, because when I run my real Sega, it's like, oh my fucking god.
That's like apples to oranges, because when I rack the VFC, it's like, oh, this sounds awesome. Then I rack my real SCAR, it's like, oh, the VFC is kind of sucky.
Yeah.
apples to oranges isn't even different enough for that. It's like apples to watermelons.
That's like apples to pasta.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's
guess
a
the difference would
completely
be that
different
pasta is the hardcore hearty one, whereas
Yeah.
apples are the one for
the hardcore,
pussies.
hearty, and good for you.
Oh god.
Sestun's fucking palm. So we're kind of out of topics now.
No, we're not. I have one more thing I want to ask you guys about.
No,
Okay,
will not suck
so-
your dick.
Well, that's
Well,
disappointing.
podcast
but...
over then.
But what I was going to say is, so on Instagram, and yes, I'm on Instagram, fucking deal with it. So on Instagram, there's this thing that's been going around. Mark Owen, the author of No Easy Day, responded to a comment someone posted on his page talking about airsofters doing Navy SEAL impressions and wearing Navy SEAL patches. And basically, he laid out the exact same thing, I think. And he's like, whatever. I played paintball and, Milsim and airsoft looks fun. I'd probably do it if I was younger, but you don't wear patches for stuff that you didn't do, yada, yada. Like, that's not cool. And I'm like, oh, my fucking God. Maybe some of the fucking try-hard SEAL douchebags will fucking see this and be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't wear a goddamn trident or call myself a fucking SEAL.
I absolutely
Can
agree
I
with
point out
patches.
before this goes anywhere else, did anyone else read No Easy Day?
I did.
No.
Okay. Then Mark Owen didn't want to be in the military. He got drafted in Vietnam. He tried running away to Canada and failed because some guy convinced him to go back.
I don't remember that part.
That is pretty much the first 2 chapters of the book, him talking about how he got conscripted during the Vietnam War. He was like, fuck it, I don't want to be in the war, and he ran away to Canada. He met a guy on the way running away trying to give him a ride and stuff. And
I've got
the
a
guy
copy
basically
of
said,
No Easy Day. Let me go check because I don't remember that.
Yeah, because that's right in the beginning.
Yeah, I read it a while ago. Hold
Oh,
on.
wait, no, that's not No Easy Day. Fuck, what am I... no, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind.
God
damn it,
fucking
Bobby.
damn it! Because I was gonna say this is the Navy SEAL who was in the raid that killed Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
So to get away
Yeah,
from
you're
Vietnam, that would have had to be a fucking while in the military.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the things they carried. That's a different
Jesus
author, though. It's
Christ.
just, that was the first thing that popped into my head. I'm sorry, man. I don't read a lot of war novels.
Okay.
Jeez.
But anyways, I'm like, man, so all these fucking Navy SEAL hero worship guys, maybe they'll see it and be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't wear patches and and say stupid shit that I don't know anything about.
So, in my opinion, in my non-military experience, I absolutely agree on patches. Calling yourself a SEAL team, obviously a bunch of 16-year-olds, no one's going to believe you're a SEAL team. I definitely agree you shouldn't wear patches or like the insignia cards or anything like that.
Ranks.
You haven't, ranks that you haven't earned.
Yep. Well, and I posted it. I reposted it on my Instagram, for some of my friends who I thought would enjoy it, who are in the military. And I was like, man, civilian airsofters is pretty simple. Don't wear patches or titles or ranks that you haven't earned. Don't claim to have done shit you haven't done. And, and don't be a fucking dick. It's really pretty simple.
What if it's an impression, man? Accuracy.
Impressions aren't my bag. Personally, I don't get into them. I understand the hobby, but...
Even people like the Russians who are the hardcore Russian team, they don't wear patches. Does that tell you anything? They spend more on their gear than most milsimmers spend on their gear. I know people in there who have $400 helmets. I don't think most milsimmers are running around with $400 helmets, much less $400 pairs of pants. On top of that, their vests some of them run the Redoubt and the 6PSH2 and other Russian vests like that with their Kevlar plates that easily costs $800 to $1,200 just for the vest.
Yeah, they're
There's
the
people running
crybabies of
around
Russian
with
airsoft.
loadouts that cost more than most of my guns combined in the Russians, and they don't wear patches, and they call themselves the hardcore impressionists for Russian milsim. It seems to be just a huge problem with Western milsim style. I
think it's just people who don't know enough about the military not giving a shit.
Yeah,
that really is it. And I've noticed a lot, with people. And my thing is, you have to go out of your way to buy the patches and shit. So I don't understand how at what point you're like, maybe I shouldn't do this. But I don't know. And what kills me is just every fucking guy wants to be a Navy SEAL in airsoft. Every goddamn impressionist in the last 5 years has done a SEAL loadout. Seriously, what the fuck?
At least when I did mine, I did like a 2004 era one.
Yeah.
How,
It was like an older one.
Rich, continue.
how do you feel about teams who name themselves after real units, like 3rd Infantry Division?
I wouldn't do it.
It's dumb.
There's this post on the state's airsoft page. Somebody's asking like who's playing and where this weekend, and this kid comments, 4th Spetsnaz Brigade may be having a Christmas party and we're playing backyard for now. And
4th Spetsnaz Brigade playing in our backyard. Yeah.
I
That
had to
sounds about
refrain from commenting. It took so much effort to not say anything.
Like, the thing is, obviously, I love Milsim Airsoft, but you have to understand there's a certain degree of respectful distance that needs to be maintained because you haven't done this shit for real. Well, I mean, if you haven't done this shit for real, if you're a real Navy SEAL, you can wear the fucking trident, no one's going to say shit. But if you're not a real Navy SEAL, or if you weren't really in that unit, then obviously people get pissed.
And if you were a SEAL, you're probably not going to wear your trident anyway.
No, if you were a SEAL, you're probably, not going to be...
Actually,
What?
no.
Yeah.
Nowadays, probably.
Yeah, you're going to wear your
But
fucking
a couple of
trident.
years ago, OPSEC was more important than ego. Not anymore.
Nowadays, some of the teams I could see that like Team 6, probably you're not going to see them wearing their trident to play airsoft if they do. Mostly for OPSEC because at the moment they're one of the most wanted SEAL teams on the planet. One
Yeah.
of the most wanted special ops,
Yeah.
I should say.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
Just like SEAL Team 2 or one of the teams that
Yeah.
no one gives a shit about, they'd probably wear their trident.
Yeah. And at that point it's a look at me, I made it, I'm wearing this
I
proudly.
passed buds, look at me. I'm SEAL Team 2, I don't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they do shit, just nothing we hear about because meh.
Yeah.
Because
No one
they're-
cares.
Because
No one
it's
cares
nothing
unless
as-
it's Dev Gru.
Well, it's not as prolific as SEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Or maybe
everyone
it's-
knows SEAL Team 6 because they've done like so much fucking shit that was like
Yeah.
crazy
But maybe it's actually that much more prolific that they can't
that we
talk
don't
about.
know.
maybe SEAL Team 6's popularity right now is just supposed to distract people from what the other teams are doing.
And let's face it, then there's Delta Force, who the government won't even officially acknowledge exists.
Yeah.
Force is a thing, or PsyOps, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, psychological ops has always been a thing,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really do much.
No, I was talking with the whole, maybe they're taking all the glory and the infamy so that you don't know what the other teams are doing.
Oh,
That's what I was talking like. To speak back to what Rich said, I think if you're obviously satirically doing this, like, hey guys, we're SEAL Team -4, like, that's funny. Like, no one's going to care. Unless you have a seriously large log up your ass about it.
You still
Or if you're being
SEAL, bro.
Or if you're being
Exactly.
disrespectful about it. I mean, obviously it'll depend on the situation. Well, if you call yourself SEAL Team -4 as a joke referring to yourselves, and
Yeah.
no one's gonna give a fuck.
Yeah, but
What
if
about-
you're
There's
saying, like,
still going to
SEAL
be that
Team
one
shitty
asshole
or
who goes,
something.
"You guys aren't SEALs."
Yeah,
SEAL Team
So-
Dicks.
SEAL Team shitty.
Yeah, but personally, my policy on it is pretty simple. I don't wear patches. I don't wear insignia. I don't wear ranks. I would never refer to myself by any title used by the military. It's
Yep.
pretty easy. No one's yelled at me because any former service member or current service member that, I play airsoft with, you maintain your respectful distance because obviously if they've seen combat and you haven't, you don't have room to talk about it.
Yep. I don't know. I think it's just kind of weird that it's even a discussion topic in airsoft anymore. It's like, how hard is it to understand?
Like I said, you have to go more out of your way to be an asshole than not. So it's just
Yeah.
weird to me.
I don't know. There's always going to be the outliers of annoying people.
Yeah,
So-
it's unfortunate, but it's a fact, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I guess now we're kind of out of topics.
Yeah, we are.
This one
We're
got
totally
this
out
one
of
got pretty heavy into some controversial topics, though.
Oh, well.
Shit happens. All of our one fans might get pissed at us.
I hope
But then
they're
I'll make them
British.
feel better by bringing them behind the dumpster. Yeah. You fucking like that spicy German, Irish, and Italian sausage, don't you?
Full circle.
Oh, yeah.
Where's this going?
No, por favor.
Where's this going? We talking about like fucking, or are you just making a joke?
This is going.
Both.
Yeah, come on, baby. Why don't you come back behind the dumpster with me? Give your grandma a kiss on the dusty pussy lips. Give you a gum job. Ooh, yeah, baby. Let me take out my dentures for this one.
Hey, weren't you in that one movie?
That
What?
one movie where the stuff happened and all those things.
No,
Okay.
the one. The
Butt
one.
fucks, let's go nuts 9.
Yeah.
You might have seen me in that. That was one of my proudest features. I ain't never had so many men in my ass at once. It was great. You should have seen me back when the troops came home from Nam.
Is that where the number 9 came from?
No, not from Korea.
Well, you've all just met Agnes, everybody. So on that, peace, bitches.
Peace, bitches.